Thanks for watching this special edition of the Council in Brief. I'm Susan Kennedy. The Montgomery County Council has approved the fiscal year 14 operating budget. The $4.8 billion budget protects essential services and core safety net programs that have been essential to so many during this deep recession. Council President Nancy Navarro oversaw weeks of budget deliberations. The end result is a balanced budget that's sustainable and thoughtful at the same time.
I think we saw in the last 4 years such erosion, especially when we're talking about, recreation services, HHS, libraries. These are all very important services for our community. And although the council always went above and beyond to shore up HHS services, we are very concerned about the fact that our HHS employees, have a higher caseload and a lot more pressures with less people. And so we did invest quite a bit in that area, and I'm really pleased to see that. So I think it's a budget that is fair. It's modest. We are still pretty much in the range that the executive sent forth. And I think it addresses a lot of the priorities that we heard time and time again from the constituents that came to talk to us and came to testify here on the council. So I think it's a great day.
The council approved a $2.2 billion budget for Montgomery County Public Schools, an increase of more than $57 million from last year.
Well, we kept to the maintenance of effort law, which required us to fund it based on last year's base, which we did. So their budget was essentially fully funded. And so we were very happy about that. We worked very well with the superintendent and the Board of Education this year, and we hope that that trend continues. I think that it was a win-win all across the board.
Also strongly supported in this year's budget, public safety. County police will see a 4% increase in their spending plan. The budget implements the second year of the police department's 3-year staffing plan, adding 40 positions. The number of school resource officers will double from 6 to 12.
Chief Major had a plan where he had identified those areas in the county where we needed enhancements, and so this really strengthens that. And so 40 plus police officers to focus on areas such as Belpre and downtown Silver Spring, Briggs Cheney, also Up County, Germantown, very important. And we were very pleased. We knew that the police department had been operating with not the optimal set of staffing, so we're very pleased with that.
There are some very good improvements there. We're adding 40 personnel in the police department, 35 sworn officers, and we're going to beef up patrol in areas where crime is higher than in other areas. So there's going to be an additional police unit in the Wheaton CBD, the Central Business District, to address crime issues there, and also 10 additional patrol officers in the Montgomery Village area because of a spike in crime there. So that's well targeted, and those are very good improvements.
And in response to the recent spike in pedestrian car collisions in our county, the council added $100,000 for pedestrian safety education.
This is going to be extremely instrumental when it comes to making sure that those pedestrian safety campaigns are spread throughout the county that have been successful at reducing the amount of pedestrian fatalities and pedestrian and car incidents. And so this is just huge for us. I mean, it really reflects a lot of the values and the things that are priorities for us because, we really don't want to see any of our constituents and residents fall victim to a pedestrian car fatality.
The council continued its support of core services and safety net programs. The council added hundreds of thousands of dollars back into the budget to protect the county's most needy.
You talk a lot about what government functions as. It really is a way in which we can support those that are challenged with being able to support themselves. And so we put back a lot of money in a lot of different areas, whether it comes to working family supplements, where it comes to making sure that we were giving our providers that are caring for those that are disabled more additional money. We've done so many great things as a part of this budget that it's just tremendous. And quite frankly, I have to give credit where credit is due. The county executive sent us over a budget that was very fair and balanced and did a lot of those great things in advancing libraries as well as public safety, transportation, the whole 9 yards.
I think that shows our good faith, our efforts to find balance, to be responsive, and to attention to the tax burden while at the same time delivering pretty good services to our community.
We're joining a national campaign called the 100,000 Homes Campaign, which will seek to identify medically vulnerable homeless clients and really keep track of them in a much more intensive way, understand their needs, get them services, and get them housing to avoid literally individuals dying on the street, the most medically vulnerable individuals at risk of death. We're also adding street outreach workers as part of that effort that will also seek to identify what are the circumstances of panhandlers. Panhandling is an undesirable activity. We discourage it. But we're going to have street outreach people to identify whether these beggars are in need of county services, whether they're entitled to county services. And if they are, they'll get services.
I'm very happy that the Food Recovery Network was funded. I'm very happy that the Working Family Assistance programs got funded. There was a lot of things that we did on behalf of struggling families.
We did a lot for people that are in the greatest need. So when you focus on what government does best, it reaches out and helps people who need help. We helped our nonprofit community, who is so important to providing those services. We help people with developmental disabilities. We help people that have health issues from Montgomery Cares. We help working poor people, people that are struggling in our community but work, and we have the only program in the state that provides that kind of supplement, and we even increased that by 10%. So on so many issues, we step forward to help those who are the most needy, and at the same time, it's a balanced program, it's fiscally responsible program, and we helped reduce tax burden. That's a good result.
The budget maintains the property tax at the charter limit and a $692 tax credit for those residents who own and occupy their homes. And to aid both businesses and residents, the council also took the big step of reducing the energy tax by 10%.
It's really important that the county council and the county government keep its word when it says a tax increase is going to be temporary, as the huge increase in the 2010 energy tax was supposed to be. It's important to follow through on that, and the council for the second year in a row is going to reduce that increase, which was a huge increase, by 10%. So I'm really pleased with that, because that was something I strongly advocated for.
However, some on the council say they would have liked to see the funds generated from the energy tax given back to the community.
The energy tax was imposed when the recession hit, and because we actually needed the money. And the fact is that nothing really has objectively changed. The economy still hasn't recovered. Our revenues still aren't back to the point that we can fund some of the services that we were funding before. And people aren't talking about adding in, fancy, brilliant new ideas. This is about kind of core services. And my point about I'm serving half the kids in rec programs that I served in 2007, that's not a good thing. So I thought that giving 5% back on the energy tax continued the trend of giving money back.
The council made economic development and job creation a priority this year. Councilmember Nancy Florine says it's an investment in the future we envision.
We're able to add 2 positions in economic development that will help them with all our joint public-private partnerships and a lot of their job creation initiatives.
After years of deep cuts, libraries received a 10% increase in funds this year. The $34.8 million libraries budget supports the reopening of the Gaithersburg and Olney libraries, and also money to increase the purchase of e-books.
Libraries are just a key tenet of our community, and so it's really important that we support them. I was happy to see that the county executive had put in 10.5% increase over last year, bringing us back to funding levels that are much, much closer to where they were before we hit the Great Recession. The challenge with that is that we still need to do a little bit more when we're talking about innovation, making sure that we can increase our e-books collection. That's the new and innovative thing. That's the hit now for bringing in our younger readers, and so this is just a great plus in being able to add that additional money in because these ebooks are so expensive.
And even more good news, this year's budget increases the county's reserve levels to protect against any future economic setbacks, and also increases the pre-funding of retiree health benefits.
The continuing effort by the council to save for the rainy day, we're putting aside huge amounts of money, $130 million, a little more, towards advanced funding our retiree health. So we have been very prudent in saving for the future. The spending increases in the budget overall are modest, about 4%, but we're able to meet some really important needs.
I think it's a balanced budget. Not only is it balanced fiscally, if you will, but it is balanced in terms of coming up and meeting our residents' needs and at the same time showing some tax relief. So for me, it has both wings of the airplane and it can fly because of that. We really went out of our way to make sure that those who are most vulnerable get an extra helping hand, and that's so terribly important. And at the same time, we said to our residents, we know you're still struggling, and so we're going to reduce our energy tax. For me, that was a very fundamental decision and a critical decision, and one I'm pleased that our council made.
And for the first time in 3 years, county employees will see an increase in pay. Given the improvements in the county's fiscal condition, employees will receive a general wage increase as well as step increases.
I'm comfortable with the contracts funding them this year because there's money to fund them this year. We asked an awful lot of our employees. We did things, people compare us to other jurisdictions. We did things to our employees in the very, very beginning. And other jurisdictions are still suffering because they didn't do stuff in the beginning and they're still not out of the woods. I wouldn't say we're out of the woods, but we're certainly not deep in the woods anymore. And so we could do better. And I was really happy we were able to do better. People deserve a break.
Phil Andrews was the only council member who was not in favor of the increases. He voted against the general county government budget for that reason.
The level of pay increases is 6.75% to 9.75% for most county employees. I supported a smaller increase. County employees do deserve a pay raise. It's been several years without one, but I believe the 6.75 to 9.75 amount is excessive and will be very hard to sustain over time, and it creates expectations then when they're not met that result in a lot of disappointment, understandably.
Funding for park and planning will increase by more than $6 million with this budget. That's more than what was requested by the agency. Montgomery College is up more than 4% from last year. The council approved 99% of the college's request.
It's a very high quality of education, dedicated faculty. We're building new facilities. We're expanding. When we're trying to keep up with open enrollment, which is a big challenge. The demand is growing as other college tuition increases. More and more people recognize the bargain that Montgomery College provides, and that increases the demand. It increases the enrollment, and we don't know how much longer, frankly, we'll be able to accept everyone who applies. But we want to continue to meet that goal.
Council members agree the decisions made in this year's budget show commitment to ensuring a strong economic future while providing the most vital of services. For County Cable Montgomery, I'm Susan Kennedy. Thanks for watching.